Hello, welcome back to Benny's Sake. I'm your girl Benny, and today I'm super duper excited to be bringing you the last official review of season 2. Listen, they close it all out and I have so many things to say. But before we get started, thank you to everybody that subscribed to my channel. At this point, the goal is literally higher because yesterday's price is not today's price. So for the end of the year, I would like to reach 250 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, and also subscribe to the Care on Stage studio streaming service. Amazing content like Love on Stage. You can binge it now. They have two seasons on there that you can binge, and all of the good things. They have such amazing content. So definitely check it out. And as always, I will leave it in the link in the description box. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first couple I want to talk about as we prepare some vegetables is none other than Crystal and James. I wanted to start with them because, again, love is love. I love all of the love. When they met each other, like I said, there were kisses here and there. Everything was just amazing. And after that, James officially asked Crystal to be his girlfriend, which I'm here for that. I love that he still named it, you know, instead of just like assuming that just because we're here that she wouldn't want that, you know, asking her like, do you want to be my girlfriend? Like, which she seemed to have enjoyed. So from where the season ended, the last wrap up of the season, the two of them were officially a couple. They met each other's siblings. I know Crystal met James' sister, and he has spoken to a lot of her friends, all of the things. So the two of them are as solid can get. So I love that for them. The next couple I wanted to talk about is none other than Nate and Shandra. The two of them, like I've already been saying all this time, the two of them did not make it as a couple. They had conversations, and Nate still maintains that the kid thing is very much like a deal breaker. He's already graduated from doing the whole, you know, parents, soccer game and all of the things. And if he says that's what it is, then that's what it is. There's no need for me to sit over here and try to overthink and try to comprehend and try to, you know, make it more than it is. If he says it's the kids thing, then it is the kids thing. That's the reason why, you know, he didn't feel as though there was a future between the two of them. And he did say that this was his stance from the beginning, but he still remained open to just see how far the process would go. You know, hopefully they can at least maintain a friendship. And this is what I love about them is, yes, they're grown about it. Like Shandra, while these are not the results she hoped for, she's not out here, you know, throwing a tantrum or like, you know, giving an attitude. She's not doing, she's like, what is for me is going to be for me. And I love that for her so much. And now that the rest of the world has seen her, seen how gorgeous it is, it's a matter of time, or it's a matter of time before somebody snatches Miss Shandra up. So I'm here for all of it. She's very sweet, and she went through a lot of this process. She lost her father, she lost her friend. There was just like a lot of transitions. So she got really emotional towards the end, and just kind of like seeing how everything that she's been through, and also just having this as like a disguised blessing almost, because she got to meet so many new people, she said, and all of the things. So shout out to you, Shandra. Shout out to you, Nate. Because, you know, this could have gone differently had he not been a decent human being. You know, had he been a disrespectful man, this could have gone differently. But no, he made it so that, you know, they can still remain friends. They wrote each other beautiful letters, and it was just like overall pleasant. So I am happy for them that nothing, you know, nothing just like fizzled out and became a bigger deal than it is. Like always, I wish they would have made it as a couple, because I think they would be beautiful together. People just be in different stages, and that's just what it is. Last but certainly not least, we have the last couple, Tremaine and Sharita. The two of them, I wrote notes. So if you see me looking over this side, it's because I have some notes on my phone. The two of them, I think it ended better than anybody could have expected, you know, after their initial meetup. Like, things were beyond awkward, but I feel like it ended better than it could have been expected. However, I still feel like there are certain things that I don't know that are necessarily resolved. It's almost just kind of like I felt the things and then it's like we're done with it. You know what I'm saying? So I have some comments, and you know, Sharita, she maintains that she doesn't feel necessary to necessarily say she's sorry, because whatever feelings she felt in the moment is valid. So she can apologize, but she wouldn't say she's sorry. It shocked even Melissa, because Melissa was like, wait, like you don't say you're sorry? Why is that? So if she likes the way she is, then I love it for her. Like, I don't know if there's anything else I can say. If she's not, at least in that moment, if she wasn't taking any more accountability, any more, like, you know, lessons that she could have learned from that process, then I don't know what else I can really say for her. If you like the way that you show up in the world, you have no problem with the way that you show up in the world, then yes, I think then I have no problem with the way that you show up in the world. Now, what I will say, if that were me, am I Ashley? Actually, I'm not. Look at God, I'm not actually. If that were me, with the whole situation that happened, there's some lessons that I feel like could be taken away. And so as I talk through this, obviously I'm gonna be using the both of them as an example, but these are just like lessons that I picked up, that I hope she would have picked up something similar. But if she's okay with where she's at, then this is perfectly okay. Like, there's nothing else that could be said. So the first thing that I learned from their whole dynamic is that you shouldn't make everything about you. Like, you shouldn't make yourself the center of literally everything. So a couple examples, the comments, like if you watched the show earlier on, the comment about, you know, I don't know the lady's name, but this white lady that came on as a panelist, she was like, when they asked her to predict what Tremaine and Sharita might be like as a couple, she had said, we can either see a beautiful thing, or we can just see like a whole, you know, dumpster fire. She took that personally. She took that as in like, oh, you think so that affected her in a way that I'm like, I don't even know that this lady was calling you a dumpster fire. She just said like, your dynamics together might be, you know, a dumpster fire. So I'm just like, why insert yourself in something that literally was said not as an insult, and why insert yourself in something that had nothing to do with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, almost felt like she was hurt by that comment and took that like, you know, dang, like, you didn't think it was gonna be a dumpster fire. Like, I don't know why that was how she took it, but it's like, I'm learning like, yo, maybe we shouldn't do that. Like, that's not necessarily anything that's called for. The second comment, I'm looking over it because I have my notes, was Melissa had said that she was disappointed. She took it as though Melissa said she was disappointed in her. Mind you, Tremaine is the one that's been going on these dates with her and all of those things. And I'm just kind of like, why is that translating as such? And Melissa apologized to her. She said she was sorry, and she clarified what exactly she meant. I think most of us understood it, that she was disappointed that these two can really be a beautiful couple, but it's just like things are happening and it's not working out, and she's disappointed. And for the love of God, this is her show. You know, I'm sure she had expectations that she was just like hoping there will be more success stories. So she has every right to be disappointed and feel the way that she's feeling. I don't know how Shandra took it to mean that she's disappointed in her as a person. And I'm just like, how are you able to insert yourself and make yourself at the center of everything that is being said and everything that is being done? You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about even the whole funeral thing, in that moment, Tremaine was like, my friend died, I may need a second. She said, cool. All of a sudden, she was like, you still should have been able to take care of me and tend to my feelings. Again, why are you this man is grieving? Why is this suddenly about you? How is it suddenly that we're going from this man grieving to now having to take care and tend to you? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I wonder if maybe, and she looks back, because this has happened like in the past, like previously. I wonder if maybe as she looks back at herself throughout the show, I wonder maybe if she's able to pick that up, because I definitely picked, I'm like, why is she somehow just like at the center of these things, or wanting to be at the center of these things, or blaming herself or making herself be the reason why? Like, the comment about being disappointed was not about her. The comment about the dumpster fire was not that she's a dumpster fire. The funeral was about this man grieving, but somehow it turned out to be, for her at least, the way the show portrayed, it turned out to be like it should have still been about her. And I'm just like, that's not really that's not a healthy space to be. And so another thing I picked up from what she was saying, she basically said she does not say she's sorry because she believes that whatever emotions or whatever she felt in the moment where she wronged somebody, those emotions are valid. Therefore, she shouldn't necessarily have to say sorry for feeling the way that she felt. And I'm like, while I am following what you're saying, I believe personally, and one of the lessons that I pick up from this is that sometimes our emotions are not the most reliable source. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're valid, but they're not always reliable as far as like they're not always accurate. You can sit over and feel like, hey, and then she did, and then they did. You can feel all of those things, but that doesn't necessarily make them to be true, that this person did all of these things, and like your emotions, they can be valid. Like you can be like, okay, I feel hurt, but the cause of what makes you feel hurt, you could be inaccurate in that. And when it is brought to your attention that those were inaccurate, those might have been inaccurate, you might have reacted with emotions that were not necessarily, while valid, not necessarily true or appropriate based off of what the other person was doing. When that is brought up to attention, it is my opinion, it's my belief that you should just say you're sorry. Like, you lose nothing by saying you're sorry and apologizing, you know, for hurting somebody. The same way Melissa did for her, the same way Melissa was like, yo, if it came across this way, I didn't mean it like that, I am sorry, and here's the explanation of what I meant. You can still validate the feelings that you had in a moment of anger, in a moment of frustration, while at the same time being like, yo, I was wrong and my bad. Like, it takes nothing away from you or the feelings you had previously. Like, it really does, and it just makes you human. It makes you recognize that we don't always act with full information. Sometimes we act with just like half feelings, half facts, and half everything, and just like we just lead with that, with those feelings. But that doesn't make it, saying sorry does not take anything from you, girl. And another thing that I picked up as I watched, which I hope she also does pick up as she rewatches herself, was that being easily offended but slow to forgive and let go is a really dangerous place to be. You are constantly finding yourself offended by somebody, honestly, and that can be exhausting. And then in contrast to that, if you are then slow to forgive, that's like everything offends you, but you don't forgive nothing, you don't let go nothing. That's not necessarily a healthy place for me, at least, to be. And I feel like, again, like I said before, when presented with new information, it's okay for us to change our mind and be like, yo, my bad, I moved in a way that wasn't cool. I may have reacted in a way that wasn't, you know, appropriate. So like an example, her being angry or being like, you know, drunk. I think she had said she was a little tipsy, that she yelled at him, or like, you know, she blocked him and stuff like that. While in those moments, the feelings she was feeling were valid, to go ahead and just like yell at somebody and block somebody who was trying to get to know you, was trying to be there for you, somebody who was also grieving, who could have used your support in that area, to still move in that way, it's okay. You can go say you're sorry for that. That doesn't mean that the hurt or the anger you felt in that moment all of a sudden becomes invalid. It doesn't. It just means that you recognize that, yes, I may have been hungry. Yes, I may have been, not hungry, angry. Yes, I may have been angry. Yes, I may have been upset. And the ways in which I moved may not have been kind to another human being. You know what I'm saying? Because if those were done to you, like I said, she seems to be easily offended, but very, very slow to let anything go. And another thing that she had mentioned was that, related to the dumpster fire comment, she basically said that a lot of her relationships tend to feel that way, where she's like on a high, like on a roller coaster, and then everything just like explodes or whatever have you. And with me, the way I was looking at that, I'm like, okay, so if this seems to be a pattern, for me personally, I feel like this is an invitation. These are lessons that I took from this, and these are lessons that I hope she took from this as well, at least looking back. Because again, I feel like if I was in that position, I don't know how I would come across. Like, there are cameras around, like I don't know how I would necessarily act. So I'm saying that maybe looking back, this is a really great opportunity, being able to see yourself the way you actually come across. Because sometimes when people tell you, be like, well, I didn't do that. But like, if you're watching yourself and it's like, no, this is actually how you're coming across. So maybe I'm hoping she takes away these lessons. But what I took away from that is, if all your relationship or most of them seem to follow this same pattern of we are on a high, and the lows are really low to the point where it's like they just like explode, that could mean that we have to do some internal work. You know what I'm saying? This doesn't mean that she's inherently a terrible person or she's wrong about everything. This doesn't mean that. This just means that in every situation, there are two sides of the story, and then there's the truth. There is the way you felt, the way you reacted, and the way things were actually perceived. There's all of those things. So I feel like maybe if she looks back at herself, she's gonna be able, I hope she's able to be like, yo, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? What is an area with which I can grow as a person so that I can at least break this pattern, not for this relationship but for the next. So I just hope, like, you know, she takes away from that. And towards the end, she didn't say she's sorry, but she apologized to Tremaine for basically telling him he needed to grieve the way she would have grieved, like the way she would have grieved. She apologized for imposing her ways of grieving on him. She apologized for that. Melissa asked them where they think this is gonna go, and Tremaine, he had just said like, we'll just like see, you know, I guess time will tell. So I don't know. At that moment, they were not together. At that moment, they were not together at all. But we don't know. I don't know how that's gonna look like. Are they together now? Were they able to make it work? I'm not sure what's happening with them right now. And lastly, really, shout out to Melissa. Melissa is somebody that I feel like she does her best to portray everybody in a good light. She does her best to provide context. She does her best to make sure that people are not coming out here just like looking ridiculous, that she's seeing the good in people, that she's asking the kinds of questions to actually pull you out, to get you to see the ways in which you may have come across wrong or whatever. Because even with Sharita saying that she can apologize for that, for like, you know, not letting Tremaine grieve the way that he wanted to grieve, that was prompted by a question that Melissa asked. If Melissa had not asked them, what would you have done differently? Looking at everything now, what would you have done differently? I don't think that's a conversation that would have necessarily, you know, been had in that same way. I don't necessarily think we would have even gotten a glimpse of, you know, vulnerability or an apology from, you know, from Sharita. I don't know that we would have necessarily gotten some kind of, I don't want to say resolve, but just like a peaceful kumbaya, a peaceful bye-bye. I don't know that we would have necessarily got that. After the taping and stuff, the two of them hung out, and there was even a picture of them being like all cozy and booed up and stuff like that. So perhaps, you know, Sharita is just somebody that struggles with the camera being around or whatever the case is. But again, shout out to Melissa for really being intentional with providing people the space to see themselves, with providing people the space to show up better. And in that moment, Sharita, she kind of showed up better for, girl, she tried. So yeah, shout out to her. And that's it on my review. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Help your girl grow her page in general. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to reach 250 subscribers, but if the Lord blows my mind with more, I am not gonna be like that's like, no, I welcome all of the love. So definitely subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, share it with a friend if you like my review, and just like watch all my other videos. You know what I'm saying? So I'll see you on the next one. Bye, Z.